What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the YouTube Live interview series where I have conversations with other entrepreneurs, other online business owners, where we dive into fun topics to give some insight, give some information to help you grow your online business in a way that works for you. So if you're watching us live, feel free to comment. I can show the comments on the screen. I've been getting a lot better at that. So definitely comment. If you're watching the replay, still comment replay. Let me know that you're watching the replay. And if you could, whether you're watching live, whether you're watching the replay, give this video a super quick thumbs up. Truly, like that little click of a button does go a long way with the YouTube algorithm and getting on YouTube's good side, which we all need that when it comes to algorithms. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications so that you can be notified when I go live. So today's topic, if you haven't read by the title, is why you shouldn't just rely on Instagram as a marketing strategy with Emily. I'm going to call it Schwalbach because she corrected me on how to Schwalbach. She can come on and she can say it. Schwalbach just sounds fun to me. So Emily is basically an Instagram. Well, she started off as an Instagram strategist and now she more focuses on like a holistic marketing approach. But I think that her perspective is really helpful because why you shouldn't just rely on Instagram as a marketing strategy from an Instagram marketing strategist. So you don't usually hear this perspective. Usually people are like Instagram until death, especially when that's what they're selling. So in today's interview, we're going to be diving into the strengths and weaknesses of using Instagram for marketing, why you shouldn't put all of your eggs in the Instagram basket, although sometimes it's pretty fun to do that. How to start exploring other avenues and platforms without getting overwhelmed, because that's a huge part. And then we're going to probably dive into some stories and some extra tips along the way. But before we get into the interview, I just want to let y'all know about the sponsor of this video here. And let me just share my screen. Okay, cool. So the sponsor of this video is the Contract Shop. It's a one-stop shop for any contract or legal template that your online business needs. Okay, so they have contracts for entrepreneurs, coaches, creatives, and other small business owners. Their contracts are drafted by an attorney and are peer-reviewed so that you know that these contracts are legit. And honestly, I use their contracts, and what I love about them is that they actually explain what this contract legal jargon means, which is wildly helpful. So they have contracts for affiliate programs, coaching relationships, masterminds, education, stock photography, all of these things. My favorite ones are for the terms and conditions and privacy policy for your website. So if you want to get the link to check out all of the contracts, which can be found right here. Like, look at all of these. You can shop by field, shop by type. They have workbooks, all of this stuff. They have so many contracts. It really is like a really awesome resource, especially as a small business owner that maybe doesn't have the budget to hire a lawyer. That stuff can add up pretty quickly. So if you want to get access to all of that and get 20% off of your first contract with code Mariah Magazine, you can just head to mariahmagazine.com/contracts to get all of that. Okay, so are you guys ready to bring out our guest here? Let me just switch screens. All right, so Emily is currently backstage. We're going to bring her in. Hello, what's up? Welcome to the YouTube Live.
I love the backstage. I'm like, and here she is on the show today.
Exactly.
Backstage.
You know what? I heard somebody else use the word backstage with this. And I mean, like, our viewers, yeah, like I didn't know that I could use that. And I was like, it sounds so professional. Like, the streaming software is just fantastic.
I love it.
It's fantastic.
It makes me feel, I mean, this is a big deal as it is, but the backstage, loved it.
I know. Professional. Okay, so thank you so much for coming on. I didn't give too much of your background.
Yeah.
Do you want to A, correct me on how to pronounce your last name? And B, just like give us the scoop, man. Like, how did you get here?
So Schwalbach, you did it correctly, but I'm so glad you said Schwalbach because that's one I hear a lot, and that one I haven't heard yet. So you get to add a new nickname to the
You're welcome.
basket of nicknames. So yeah, I'm Emily Schwalbach. I am from Indianapolis, Indiana. I have 3 sons, a husband named Ryan, who's also a business owner himself. So that's been fun. I used to be and knew since I was a 2nd grader that I wanted to be a teacher. And I was a kindergarten teacher. I went to school. I got my degree in early childhood education, not in public speaking. So you can tell that. But I went to teach. I did not think I would be a business owner in marketing, digital, anything, although I did love AOL a whole lot. So I think that definitely impacted the virtual connection piece of that. I loved running downstairs and logging on, and I loved every second of it. When Facebook came out, it was just for colleges. I wanted to be the first one at orientation to get the Facebook college email so that I could sign up for the college Facebook. So I have always loved social media, virtual connecting. But as it pertains to business, nope, not at all. After I had my first son, I thought I would teach, have the kids, go back to teaching. Because if you didn't know it, you don't make a lot of money teaching. Shout out to all the teachers out there still doing it. Good job. And I realized that I would really miss that indicator of teacher. And I started doing the social media for my husband's company in 2015. And the prerequisite was she can post fast. So that was all it took back then. And then I actually got into Beachbody, which no tomatoes. I was horrible because at the time they were preaching, hey girl messages, send cold messages. I was like, I'm not doing that. So what I did was I used social media marketing to tell my story, to connect. And I did pretty good. I had a pretty good client base, but then people were asking me how to do all these things. And I said, sure, let me help you. Let me teach you how to do this and that. And my husband said, you need to get paid for this. And I laughed a lot because for me, getting paid to do what? Absolutely not. But I realized this was a huge pain point for business owners, is not knowing how to do it. And I
Still is.
Yes. I don't know how. I didn't realize that this was something that I had a knack for, that I could monetize. And that I was in the minority. Like a majority of people struggle with the features and how to actually do it and what the names of the things are. And then on top of that, coming up with the stuff to say, to post, to write, all of that, and how to connect it and convert to actual dollars, because that's what we're trying to do the most of. Which led to me consulting other business owners. And then I have a membership with a girl I met through a hashtag. And then now I'm not focused so much on social media. I'm focusing on everything, which again, as a kindergarten teacher, what I learned was not every kid is going to learn the same. Not every kid is going to communicate the same way, which is why I think it's so important to understand that Instagram may not be the best place for you to spend all of your time, because not all of your buyers are there or use that space to purchase. For me, a lot of the times I do a little like circle of email marketing, Instagram, social media, and then in-person networking. And for me, that little triangle, that little threesome that I communicate and kind of marry them all together, that's what has worked and really skyrocketed my growth, and what has made me super passionate about not just telling people how to shoot a reel or what audio to use, but like, how can we connect what you're doing on Instagram to the rest of your business? Because that's not where you don't want the journey to end at your account or just the story or just the reel. Where are we going from there? And that's what I've been doing since end of 2017, early 2018. And here we are. And I'm on an interview on YouTube. Never thought I'd be here. So you never know.
Welcome to the YouTube world, baby. Okay, so I think that this is really great. And what's your perspective? So I'm trying to like formulate my question here properly.
It's a lot.
It is. There's a lot of Instagram people out there talking about Instagram, which like, cool. We get it. It's a great platform. But I guess like they're like, grow your stuff on Instagram, grow your business on Instagram. You can make passive income. You can sell and make 10K months, 50K months, you know, all of these number metrics. You can hit your next goal if you just grind it out and grow your Instagram. Like if you just build on this platform. So like, what's your perspective on that?
I'm like twitching because I see it so much and so often. So first things first, when you're getting advice from people, I'm not saying that you have to have years and years and years of experience. I'm obviously don't have a background in what I do, so I have to be careful in how I say this. But if there is a person that you're following for Instagram growth, Instagram conversion, whatever it is that you're trying to do there, and they are preaching one way to do everything, or they have just been around since Reels were created, I'd highly suggest you finding someone who's been here a bit longer, that has seen the platform change and morph and grow. And it's Reels kind of added this whole new growth where it's weird. Like if we all knew the formula for a viral video, we'd all have viral videos. So as much as you can learn these best practices that I know in my head and what I teach clients and our members of our membership, we would all be having a trillion bajillion views, but you can't just say this is what will get you viral. That's a lie. That's just lying. Yeah. So I think that when you're intaking information, you have to learn that although there are best practices and ways to tweak and change things, there is not one formula that you can use to go viral. And I think that that kind of skews people's perspective of accounts when they say, you know, in their bio, grew 300K in 6 months. I'm like, that would literally for me be like the worst turnoff ever, because, oh, so you just used a reel early, audio early, and now like you get to say that you know how to teach everyone how to do this. Like that's just not, that doesn't make sense. So I think, but people don't know that. So I feel very passionate about like not content creationing your way to growth. Like it's more than just the outward output that you do. It's a lot of behind the scene works that make it so that you actually convert to your business. So I even was talking to someone and they said, oh my gosh, my business, it's so bad. I'm like not doing anything. I'm not making any sales. And I'm like, okay, you're not making any sales. Wow. Like, tell me more about that. They're like, well, my views are down. And
it's the expectations. It's the expectations. And it makes you prioritize things that don't really translate into sales sometimes. And don't get me wrong, if you get 1 million views on like an Instagram reel, it's like you might blow up in sales. But like, you can't have that expectation. And I think what I talk about on my podcast, Curiously Guided, a lot sometimes is just like, if you grew a business by like a reel taken off or like a TikTok taken off, or even me, let's say like a YouTube video taken off, you can say that you got lucky. You can say that. And I think that that's being really honest about your story. And now I'm not saying that like they didn't put in the work of like, maybe they were doing reels every day for 6 months. Like they put in the work and then they got lucky. Do you know what I mean? But like, we can't have this goal of virality because it's not something that we have any control over. And then also I just want to bring this up because Sarah Burke, I don't know if you follow her. She's a Pinterest strategist.
Yes. I feel like
Burke just posted a reel yesterday and she was like, we need to talk about platform bias. So on Instagram, people like the Instagram algorithm wants you to stay on Instagram. So if you go to your explore feed, especially as a business owner, if you're a business owner that's looking at any business owner advice, anything on Explore page, you're going to see constantly things to help you grow your Instagram reels, trending audios, and all of that, because Instagram wants you to stay on the platform. It's a platform bias. So just be careful about who you're following for business advice. And are they in the same, I don't want to say the same industry or the same niche, but like, is it aligned, or are they teaching you how to use that platform that they're getting a little bump up from Instagram on? And I think that's something that we have to take into account. Not saying that like all of their hard work doesn't matter, but like platform bias is a thing.
Absolutely. I love that point. And with this like hyper focus on views being equal to like your business success. Whenever I'm doing workshops, and I'm glad this isn't a podcast so I could really show you the visual of it. This is what we're getting hung up on. A view. The person did not even engage with the reel. They didn't comment. They didn't share it. They looked at it. And that's what you're getting so hung up on. For me, I would rather look at the shares, the comments, the website taps from that reel. And let's look at it from that whole like holistic perspective and not just a view and being like, oh, that was successful. I'm like, well, yeah, you got more views than normal, but like, how did that impact your business? And I never get the answer because they're like, huh. And I'm like, business success and Instagram success are not the same thing. And the more I bring, that's like one of my big pillars, and I say it over and over again in many different ways, is like, if you are not getting the views you want, okay, but like, what about your business? I had a client who's like, the reels, I'm just not getting good at it. I'm feeling so down. And I'm like, okay, well, can I ask you about your business? How are you doing? Are you booked out? And she said, oh, I'm booked out for 3 months. And I'm like, then girl, we don't worry about reels then. You don't need to do them. But if you are stuck in your business, that is when we can say, okay, let's talk Instagram. Okay, now let's also talk about this and this. That's where we can talk, but people get so emotionally attached to their analytics that it doesn't even serve a purpose anymore. So you have to detach emotionally, look at your analytics. And I'm not a numbers gal. I don't like math. I don't like numbers. I know you know that. But I do like the analytics on Instagram because you can see more than just what everyone else can see. And it's more helpful. If you are seeing not a lot of views, but you had 10 people go to your website from that reel, let's do that again. Let's dissect that and see, oh my gosh, your buyer, your ideal person saw that and went to your website. That is the kind of stuff that gets me super excited, and that can make a big impact with social media marketing for your business.
It's the juice, baby. That's the juice. There's so many overlaps with SEO too, because it's like, we could be like, well, look at how many keywords I'm being associated for. And okay, cool. But like, are those the right keywords?
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, it's so much deeper than like the metrics. Yeah. Okay. So I do have a question here. So Instagram is obviously a very popular platform. Yes. It's popular with business owners, entrepreneurs, e-commerce shops, like, and people that don't have businesses, right? Like I had an Instagram for personal, still do, before I had one for business. But in terms of business, in terms of online marketing, can you describe like its strengths and weaknesses as like a marketing tool for business?
So strength-wise, I think that it really does the best job at being able to humanize your brand as a business. Stories specifically, I will die on the hill that Instagram stories is the best. Like that is the place to be. And people knock it because you don't get the views from new followers or new people as much as you did maybe in 2018, 2019, where you would use a hashtag and get all these plethora of new eyeballs. However, for me, I am all about doing less but better. How about we use stories to really connect with your audience? Because they're warm. They know who you are. So when you're focused on your Reels views, you're worried about these people who don't even know who you are yet. And we're worried about them. And that's the reason why we can say it's a good or a bad reel. Whereas if you share on stories and really deep dive and show, really reinforce your personal brand, whatever that is. I talk about health and fitness. I talk about my ADHD. I talk about my sons. If people are like, oh, I don't want to show my kids, there are a lot of ways to share that you're a parent without showing them the pile of laundry, their hands, like lots of different ways. But stories is the best way to connect with a brand, I think, on all the platforms, because there's nothing else that does that behind the music vibes, like that VH1 show. I love that. Or like Hard Knocks. I will watch that every single season because I'm like, this is what I want. I don't watch the football game. I want to know who's friends. I want to know like who duked it out at practice. Like I want to know that kind of stuff. And that's why stories gives you that opportunity to connect one-on-one. And so oftentimes people are worried about comments and no one's commenting, well, on stories, people can connect one-on-one and it's not public.
Yes. I get way more story replies than I get comments. Way more story replies.
Way more. And funny too, people will say, well, I don't get a lot of DMs. And I'm like, well, are you sharing stories? Because very rarely would I like go to your account and tap message and then DM you. Unless
Give me something to respond to.
Give me something to respond to, and then I can interact. And every story, people like dig their heels in about stories. They like do not want to do it. And I'm like, that's fine. Do you? I'm just saying, when you pair that with all these other things you're doing on Instagram, you're going to see a better conversion and you're going to connect more with your audience. But every single story gives a little send message. And so if you're like, oh, I really want to start implementing more stories, I just don't have any motivation, think of this is yet another opportunity for my community to connect with me one-on-one. And
take the pressure off. Take the pressure off. Like I posted a story that did phenomenally well. I posted a story about how my poor little laptop is now a desktop computer and she needs to be plugged in all of the time. And everybody was just like, I wasn't trying to like do anything, sell anything. I was just being like, yo, I know y'all can connect with this. And then I got a bunch of people in the DMs and they were like, LOL, girl, been there. Like, oh, mine's the same thing. And like, blah, 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 blah. And then also like, even that's not anything like too personal. I wasn't like word vomiting about my relationship and like showing my boyfriend Andrew's face or like anything like that. It was just something that I was like, I would bring this up if I was in the office. If I was in a corporate office, I'd be like, yo, your girl's laptop just died, because it's a connection point where you can have a conversation with your people. And it gives something that people can respond to. And then even I use Instagram stories. I think that they're my favorite feature too, for that connection piece, because like on YouTube, I have a YouTube channel, I have email newsletter, I use LinkedIn, like all of this other stuff. But Instagram feels so personal, where it's like I literally tell people after I host a workshop, yo, DM me on Instagram, dude. Come over and follow and slide into my DMs, ask me any questions. And like rarely do people send message, but if I post something on my stories, it gives them a way to be like, oh my God, I love this. And I found you from this workshop, blah, 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 blah. It's an invitation. It's like trying to ask somebody to dance at a dance. You know what I mean? Like it's way easier if you make eye contact first versus like, you're just like, I don't know, like bullying your way over to them to ask them to dance. It's like, give them a cue.
That's such a good analogy. That's so good. And I'm so glad you touched on not getting too deep, because whenever I say, you know, share more personal stuff on stories, people are like, never. And I'm like, well, okay,
respect. Like,
personal, but personal doesn't mean private. Personal doesn't mean
yes.
It doesn't mean like you need to, like you said, like talking about like word vomiting about your relationship, oversharing. Personal content is, here's a podcast I'm listening to, a Netflix show I'm watching. Here's the recipe I made for dinner. Like,
here's my new pen.
You post that on your stories and people will be like, I love pens. And
I love
like,
pens.
It reminds me of my, one of my sons when he was walking into school, and one of his friends, it was one of the first days, and they're like, oh, he said, oh, hi, so-and-so. They said, oh, hi. And she goes, I'm friends with Bo. And I said, yeah, I know you are. And she goes, I'm 5'2". And I'm like, that's stories. I'm 5'2". I like the color yellow. Like it's
just a connection point.
It's just connection. And it doesn't, when people say, oh, I'm hesitant to share more of my humanness or my personal stuff, like I don't want to get, and it's like, no. It doesn't have to be deep to connect. It doesn't have to, it can be as shallow as you want it to be.
I think that's really, really important. Truly.
And so, yes, that in that way, love Instagram. Like the connections are out of this world. I love it for connecting and taking like in-person connections in this whole other way too. I love it for community, for support, all of that. Great. You know, check. I think the mindset around it is hard for me to even want to continue to help people with it. But I have such a passion to help people simplify it and be on there less. Because if you sit there and everyone's scroll. Everyone gets caught doing that. It's just part of our world. And I don't like to contribute to that. So when I am helping people with their Instagram strategy, it's always, what can we do better so that you're off of it more? What can we have going so that you don't have to be babysitting it all the time? Let's look at your day and figure out what times are the best times for you. Maybe at night, it's not a great time for you to be on the platform, because then because it's not just a business platform. You're still connected to friends, to family. Like, that's what makes it so hard to manage sometimes, because you also want to be there to connect with friends and family. So for me, like, yes, I connect with friends and family on Instagram, but it's mainly my business. And I use it for that. So yeah, on weekends, I'm doing stuff that I would love to share if I had like a personal, only and private account, but it's my work. It's like a hairstylist. Like, on the weekends when you're off, you don't want to be doing your friend's hair. So I personally take weekends off. So I think that the strength can be all of these amazing connections, but the weakness is that you can for the mental health of business owners, it can be very hard. So if you don't have the boundaries set around it, I mean, I will tell people to mute and block and unfollow anyone that doesn't make you feel like rainbows and sunshines and fireworks and inspired. If there is a person, I mean, I'll meet with people. Well, I follow this person in the way. And I'm like, but I don't hear the rest of it. Block them, unfollow. That's not helping you. Yeah. Well, they had good ideas. You don't like them. I can look at your face. Like, yeah. No, we don't need to do that. So I think in that sense, it's very hard to create strong boundaries around it. And also just the fact that people don't always know, when you are using it to market your business, where to take them. So then they get really mad and discouraged and frustrated with it. So that's what I would say is the strength and the weakness.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And it's the boundaries for sure. And that takes time. It just takes time. It takes self-awareness. It takes self-reflection. So like, if you're getting overwhelmed with it, know that like everybody struggles with it. It's so easy to pull up an app and to scroll. It's so easy. So like, just remind yourself that it's hard for everybody, and just try to be just a little bit more intentional about it. I think that that's really important. In terms of marketing, I think that I see Instagram as more of, and we kind of talked about this before, but like more of like a connection platform than a visibility platform. What's your perspective on that?
I like that a lot. I think that is so true, especially now. It's really hard to get seen by new people. And that's why I'm so glad we're having this conversation, because there are other ways to bolster it. Because when you are connecting in person, or you have an email list going out, like, word of mouth is still by far top dog. Like, yeah. But when you see that word of mouth happening on Instagram, then that makes that better. But if you don't have any of those things moving at the same time, that's why you have to have something else going on for the connectioning to lead to monetizing. So you can't just be like, oh, I'm just connecting. And it's like, okay, well, what are our goals? How can we match our business goals with our moves here on Instagram? And
so yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And it also makes sense. I'm like, that's the exact reason I always end up holding a pen, dude. And I'm literally like, girl, we're holding to point and to make a
class right now.
Yes, we are in YouTube live class. Okay. So that really makes sense in terms of like why you shouldn't put all of your eggs in the Instagram basket. And I think that, we have to bring up the obvious one of like, you don't own the platform. I have seen so many business owner friends. Like, I had a business owner friend, she talks about Facebook ads in her account, gone for no reason. She ended up getting it back, but like it took probably 4 weeks. I had another friend, Holly Haynes of the Crush the Rush podcast. She was on the podcast Curiously Guided, and we talked about her experience. Her Instagram went down. She had like 15,000 followers or something like that. Went down during a launch. So it's like, I don't say this to scare you. I still grow my Instagram, dude. Like, I love Instagram for the connection. And like, I'll throw up a reel when it feels fun. I'll throw up a carousel when it feels fun. But like, I think that it's important to not put all of your eggs in the Instagram basket for so many reasons. A, you don't own the platform. You don't own the profile. all of that stuff. Instagram does it.
Mm-hmm.
And then number two, it's like, how are you driving eyeballs to your Instagram profile that don't involve you dancing and pointing on Instagram if that doesn't feel fun for you? Because if it feels fun, by all means, child, do it. But like, if it doesn't feel fun, then how are we driving eyeballs to it? And I think this is where it comes to the thing of like getting overwhelming. It's like, as a business owner, let's say like an e-commerce shop or like a creative or a maker, and they're like, okay, like I'm making scrunchies, I'm over here with the sewing machine, now I got to do Instagram, now I have to do another platform, dude. Like now I have to do something else. Or even as a service provider, as if I didn't structure my business very tightly and very boundaried like I do, I would not be able to offer SEO strategy and consulting with also Instagram and also YouTube. And also I co-host a podcast. Like I have my hands in so many baskets. But when you're first getting started, you're learning marketing. If you don't have a background in marketing, you're learning how to run a business, the admin, the emails, all of that. You're learning probably how to DIY your website, how to create something, how to sell. And so how, I guess, in terms of advice, where do people start when it comes to like, okay, we shouldn't just focus on Instagram, but like, what do I focus on and how do I figure that out?
So I think it's like you said, you mentioned it just then, that like Instagram is great for the, connection, and it can't be the one thing that you do though. You cannot rely on it for business growth on its own. Although I think that you can really expand reach and network from your couch. So that is like the best place I would start, which I wish I would have done more of when I started, and I always kick myself for it. I would start focusing on local business connections on Instagram. There is something magical when
I haven't heard anybody say that tip. You heard it here first. Hot tip.
Well, the funny thing is I've been doing that, but I did it backwards. And I will quote Shannon on this because she's the one who said it: start local, grow outward. So I watched her business and the way it moved. And I started virtual. I had like my first couple clients were like across the world. And I'm like, oh, because I posted in a Facebook group for women entrepreneurs, shared what I did. That's kind of how my business went. But again, it wasn't on Instagram. It was on Facebook. It was diversifying efforts, Facebook group, connecting, all the things. There is something to be said about the comfort and the trust. I think when you are marketing as a bit, people are already going to these platforms not wanting to buy. One. Then also you have to lift the veil and show that they can trust you. And how do you market your business while not coming off gross or salesy, while also like trying to connect, but you have to talk about your business or else people won't know it is what you do. And so when you connect with local people, it's this feeling of, oh, I get them. Like, oh, I can connect with them in this way that nobody else does. Because I've had people comment and be like, wait, are you in Indy? I'm in Noblesville, which is just a suburb north of me. And the way I freak out, I'm like, we need to know each other now. Like, when can we meet for coffee? So it takes that Instagram connection off. So if I were a new business and I started brand new, I would be researching. And you don't have to be local. I am not a local business owner. I serve local people, but I also do virtual. I do both.
Yes.
But
you don't have to have like a physical location or an office for people to come in, or a shop. Like you don't have to have a physical location.
No, you do not need that. Thank you. That. Good job. Way to talk.
I got you.
But it's just this trust thing and word of mouth and, oh, they're from Indy. Yeah. If you had to pick between, if they were the same person and they had the same qualifications and you love them both, one is virtual and one is local for, a contractor. If I was hiring someone to edit a podcast, if I had a podcast, I would pick the local person, hands down. They are someone I could physically go see if I needed to. I can connect with them better. Although virtual connections I love. I run a business with Shannon and she is in North Carolina. We've only been in person together maybe 7 times. So like, it can be done.
Yeah.
But if I were a new business owner, I would start with building up and supporting, making your growth on Instagram not just about your business growth, but about a lot of other businesses growth, because that is where I see like my engagement's down. I'm not getting any comments. I'm like, are you engaging? Are you commenting? And no one wants to hear that. They do not want to do the supporting of other businesses. And it's mind boggling to me.
I think it's because you can't put an ROI on it. So it's like, if I have very limited time, and I mean, I've been here, right? Like in the beginning of business, I was like, yo, I'm scrappy. I need to figure this stuff out. I'm not going back to another job. I need to figure this out. So it was like, so I'm going to spend my time marketing somebody else's business. You know what I mean? Like, how is that going to help? And so it's like the ROI in your head doesn't make as much sense in terms of like, well, I'm going to post a carousel, or I'm going to post a reel talking about my product, talking about my service and whatever. But I will say that like when I first started my business, it's been over 8 years. When I first started, I also got involved in a lot of local things, and it wasn't my favorite, to be honest. After that, I literally was like, I'm busy. Like, I can't. But so local was never my favorite thing in the entire world. But being a business owner, that's how I started getting eyeballs on my social profiles online, was that I was gaining trust with the local community first. And then I also was in Facebook groups, and I ended up doing, it was like service swaps.
Oh, yeah.
And so even some of like my really good business friends to this day are people that I did service swaps with. And so one was like a PR person. And then I was trying to like dip my toes into SEO. And so I was like, yo, let me do an SEO audit.
Yeah.
That free audit got her on page 1 in position 1 for her keyword. And her PR strategy that she ended up creating me literally got me on dozens of podcasts.
There you go.
So it's like, you never know what building these relationships can lead to. And it does take time to build relationships. But if I had to break down like how I grew my business, it was word of mouth, collaborations, and getting found in search. It was that thing where I was hitting the local, building relationships, and then being found for the exact terms that people are searching in order to find me. And so I know that that's like, okay, Mariah, that's not one thing to focus on. Like, I know. And I work quickly. So my hands are always in 17 different pots. But I think that there's a thing of like, that we're both saying where it's word of mouth. How can you collaborate with people? Because you never know what that's going to lead to. So let's say that maybe you want to do a giveaway, or you decide that you're going to share each other's Instagram stuff. So you're sharing it with each other's small audience. That's new eyeballs that now trust you 10 times faster because the person that they are already following is recommending you. It's virtual word of mouth.
That's it.
It's the juice.
No one wants to do that.
And I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm an extrovert and I'm just like, yo, like, let's collaborate. If I could spend my entire life collaborating, that's what I would do, because like, how cool is it that I don't have to grow my business myself? And that's where I think people get into like this Instagram rabbit hole, because they're kind of like, I need to post. I need to do this. I need to create the reel. Why are you trying to grow your business by yourself? Allow yourself to be supported and support others.
It's as simple and as hard as that. And I think too, once you become more confident in your business and you have that mindset shift of abundance, like there's work out there for everyone. Like the thing that changed the trajectory of my business was combining with Shannon. When I met Shannon, Shannon was just doing managing. She wasn't even consulting yet. So I was the consultant and she was the manager. I thought, why don't we host a free Facebook group? And then you get both of our perspectives. Now we have a very successful membership. We host in-person events, all the things, Social Squad Society right there. But it's just like, if I were to have said, oh, I'm not going to collab because I don't want to share anything that I'm doing with anyone else. I don't want to be, have them outshine me. I wouldn't have this amazing thing that I've built on top of the business that I have. So trust us when we say it is worth it. You just have to do it more and you'll grow, like work that muscle. The more and more you collaborate, the more and more you connect. But it is, if you want to have a successful Instagram that actually converts to business growth, you have to spend time helping other people and not just doing it yourself, but have it be fun. Like,
yes,
figure out if it's like a fun task. Like for me, I love watching other people's stories. And every time I respond to their story, I know that gives a little like bucket into their engagement on their stories. So there's ways to do it that isn't like, okay, we have to put together a reel, we have to do a giveaway. It can just simply be commenting on their reel or sharing their reel to their story and then tag them. So then you get that exposure and it's a everyone wins situation.
Yeah, I think like since we talked about Instagram really being like a connection platform, I think the question is like, how do you diversify your platforms? How do you figure out where else to grow? I think it comes down to the question also, like you mentioned, what feels fun? What do you want to do? Because I think as a business owner, we see so much advice and content, especially if you're scrolling on Instagram.
Yeah.
I would have had to change my business 17 times if I followed everybody's advice on Instagram, and it can be really overwhelming. And so you have to come back and you have to self-reflect. You have to ask yourself the question, how do you want to be found? Are you more introverted where it's like, yo, I ain't trying to network in person? There are plenty of online ways to do that, like Facebook groups and things like that, where you're still getting that networking, you're still getting that connection, and you can only offer maybe a coffee chat with somebody that like you really feel connected to after a couple weeks or a couple months of communicating. Like, I think that it's also very important to mention, like, there is not one way to grow a business. There is not one way to grow an Instagram. There is not one way to grow this thing that you are creating. And I think that what people get wrong is that they try to copy other people's businesses when those businesses are run by that specific person, when in reality, the core of your business is you.
Yep.
So what feels fun for you? Where do you want to spend your time? And if Instagram is part of that, then how do we take advantage of it in a way that feels fun?
Exactly. That is so well said. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. So we're hitting the top of the hour. Is there any other tips or any other resources or anything that we can kind of guide people to in terms of creating maybe an Instagram strategy that feels fun, that feels lighter, or if they're interested in kind of diversifying their marketing?
So I think when it comes to Instagram, I think, lots of advice out there to like, let's post a bajillion times a day. Like someone just joined our membership and she said, oh my gosh, wait, you're telling me I don't have to post 7 times a day? I was like, no, sweet baby, come to me and let me help you. 7 times a day? I said, no, we preach more 3 to 4. And she thought I meant daily. She goes, 3 to 4 a day is much more manageable. And I was like, no, a week. Like if you are in a growth mode, 3 to 4 is still plenty when it's quality content. I remember I was the one in 2018 posting every single day. I did that for probably, 6 months or so. And I look back at that content and I'm like, man, I was just posting to post. So I think really finding your purpose for each piece of content that you're creating. And it doesn't always have to have some strategic deep thought. Like it can be, this was funny. And the point is to connect and entertain. That can be the basis of the piece of content. And that's what makes it fun. For me, I like to do funny lip sync audios. I mean, I have to play up my face acting, which I enjoy. But if I have someone come to me and they're like, I'm not doing that, then we figure it out. You can still use the lip sync audio and not be lip syncing yourself. So I think really being honest with yourself, what can I do? What can I be consistent with? And then finding your minimum. This is like a concept that I created in 2020 because I was pregnant with my 3rd son, couldn't do all the things. So instead of doing the most, I did the least, but I did it really well. And I figured out what are the best money-making moves in my business and in marketing that I can stick with. And so I only posted like 1 time a week, maybe 2 weeks.
I think it's so important to like let people know you don't have to post every day. I post on my feed maybe once a week, sometimes once a month. Depends on the mood that I'm in.
Great.
Really.
And you're pretty good. So that's the thing.
Stories are different. Stories feel easier to me. You're just taking a pic. You're just taking a pic and posting some stuff. We do have a comment. Well, we have a couple comments. So Chloe is here. She's watching us live. And Chloe, I am so sorry that I'm literally just seeing these comments now.
Oh my.
LOL. Okay. So Chloe, she loves the channel, wants to start an Instagram. What do you recommend? But we also have some other comments that Chloe kind of followed up with because like I said, I'm bad at posting comments. So let me just get through these comments. She's telling us a story here. Okay. And she said, sorry, my account name is weird. Me and my cousin Jake share an account and the name is weird. LOL. I LOL'd when I read that. Thank you so much, Chloe. Okay. And then I have modeling, like a ton of modeling experience, but how would you start a brand new Instagram account? Because she's never had an account before.
Okay.
So if y'all have any advice, please tell me. LOL. I want to start, but I'm nervous.
Okay.
And then we have, I'm also 26 weeks pregnant. Could I make my Instagram account about my journey and outfits of the day? I just wonder how much people are interested in.
Oh my gosh. This is
And then wait, she said, both of us are so smart, and give credit, Chloe. I literally love you so much. And then, so you have worked pregnant as well. I kind of want to make part of my Instagram about my pregnancy journey.
Absolutely.
And then she said, it's, I'm sorry for spamming chat. I just wanted to throw it out. I think that it's perfect.
I think that it's perfect. And I love this. And of course, if you're willing to open yourself up in that way, there's no woman that wants to connect to another woman more than women that are pregnant. Like, we need help at dressing ourselves. Our bodies are changing completely. If you are you have modeling experience, you probably know what works best on body types. You probably know more fashion sense than me. And so absolutely outfits of the day. Absolutely. What are you eating and drinking? Absolutely. How are you mentally? Because it's a lot of hormones going on. So what are the things that you're doing to stay positive? I think you could just start by coming up with, you could just use your name. I personally love that. If you're starting a new account and you're not really sure where we're going to go, first name _ last name. That's what I would do, or a dot. Look at you. She's got the stats.
I know. I feel like bring that stuff online.
Yeah.
Bring that stuff online. Of course you're nervous. Just know that like you were literally like, me and Emily are so passionate about this. I'm like, wait, let me talk. She's like, wait, let me talk. And it's, but it's like, share your juice, man. You have juice. You have a specific perspective. And like, I'm not pregnant, but I plan on having children in the very near future. I don't have a clue on what I'm going to wear. And I already follow parenting accounts like on Instagram. And it's like, I also have people that I follow for daily style, because I also say like, yo, style is not my thing. Yes. So then it comes to maternity, and then I look at maternity, like clothes in stores, and I'm literally just like, can somebody tell me how to style this? So I think that it's a genius place to start. Just share like all of that stuff that Emily was saying, share that stuff. And start with what feels fun for you. Like, this is not, we're not putting pressure on it.
No, not at all. And just test it out and see. But I mean, daily looks. Yeah, that does really well. Don't really look pregnant. If you want to go into pregnancy, you can wear, tight stuff. I unfortunately had the opposite problem. I looked, very pregnant at all times. Yes, products. Yes. How fun. It could be an outlet for you, sharing products. So yes, when you see commercials or ads or anything, what are you seeing on social media, especially girls being like, hey, I just got this curler and la, 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 and here's how I'm using it. They know, because that markets well. So then you can also go into, potentially affiliate marketing, getting codes, and then you can get kickback for sharing all of this. Oh, wow. Yeah. She wants to be showing a little bit more.
What was that?
We'll get there. It'll grow. But
exactly.
You don't know where this could take you with your background, because a lot of people go to social media for outfit product inspo. That is the mecca, I believe, right now for women, especially. So yeah, I would say go for it. And start just sharing products you love, link it so it's easy. Use the link sticker on stories, and maybe reach out to some of these brands and see a lot of people already have affiliate programs. So you'll be getting kickback.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I'm glad that I caught those comments, Chloe. Thank you. Thanks for coming on and having us dissect this and create a plan for you. Hopefully that was helpful. I'm glad that we kind of got to wrap it up, putting kind of how both of our brains would take that apart and just how we would strategize it. But I think overall, the thing is what feels fun for you? Can you collaborate and communicate with people and use Instagram in a way that's boundaried, but is also supportive as a form of self-expression and connecting with your people? You have to be really clear about who your people are, and then it makes everything else a whole lot better. So I know that we mentioned the Social Squad Society? Do you just want to give people a really quick overview about like what it is?
So it is a membership for female entrepreneurs, personal brands, especially. It's just a monthly resource for you. There's caption templates, a hashtag vault, trainings. Not just that, but we also have a Facebook group where Shannon and I are both in there once a day, if not every other day, answering questions. So it's like kind of have these social media strategists and business owners in your back pocket, where we cover more like, not just, oh, here's how to do a reel, but it's also like, let's master your messaging. Mariah has a masterclass in there about SEO. We have a financial masterclass. We have time management. So it's more so overall business growth and marketing, and but lots of resources to help you grow your community on social media, connect and convert and make more dollars. That's all we want for all women everywhere. And two, I want to say, whatever it is that you're doing, don't let your Instagram statistics keep you from doing what you're doing. I see it all the time, and it makes me so angry that people are called to be a creator or a service provider, and then they're like, Instagram was against me. They weren't blah, blah, blah. And then that's what makes you stop doing it or not believe you can do it. Respect Instagram for what it is. It's a tool you can use that will facilitate connection and growth. But it's not the end all be all. It's just respect it for what it is.
Yeah, I love that. Well, Emily, thank you so much for coming on. The links to literally everything that we've talked about is going to be in the video description. So go ahead and pop down there, check them out. And then if you're looking for a contract, like I mentioned, I gotta talk about the sponsor. Again, if you need a contract, literally check out the contract shop. You can head over to mariahmagazine.com/contracts. It will have the link here to pop over to the contract shop. You can check out all of their amazing products that they have. You can also get the coupon code Mariah Magazine to get 20% off your next contract. But until next time, I'm going to wrap this baby up. Remember that you get to grow your online business in a way that feels good for you. Okay, so keep testing, keep tweaking, keep experimenting, and I will see you in the next interview.